The sky over the quiet planet Valen was filled with soft purple clouds, and a cold wind moved across the tall cliffs. Lira stood alone on the highest cliff, her silver hair glowing in the weak light of the twin moons. Every night she came here. Every night she watched the stars, and every night she hoped for the same thing, that her parents' ship would finally return. She was still young by human years, but her heart felt older, heavy with waiting. Her people, the Illyrians, lived with deep emotions, and when they loved with their whole spirit. Lira loved her parents like that, and she held their promise close to her chest. "We will come back," they had said before the great cosmic storm swallowed their ship many years ago. Most people on Valen believed her parents were lost forever, lost in the storm, lost in the dark between stars. But Lira did not believe that. She felt something in her heart, a connection that had never broken. She felt it when she looked at the sky, when she heard certain sounds, even when she touched the ground. It was like her parents were still out there, trying to reach her. Every night, strange lights flickered across the sky, broken signals from old crashed ships, ghost echoes of travelers who never made it. Lira saw them often, bright for a moment, then gone. Each time her heart jumped, thinking, maybe this time it was real, maybe this time it was them. But the lights always faded, and she remained alone on the cliff. Tonight, however, felt different. The air felt heavier, the wind felt sharper, and the sky felt alive in a way she had never sensed before. Lira closed her eyes and listened to the soft humming inside her chest, a sound she had heard since childhood. It was not her heartbeat, it was something else, something older and hidden deep within her. Sometimes the sound grew louder when danger was near, or when something important was about to happen. Suddenly the humming rose like a warning. Lira opened her eyes, her breath catching. A new light appeared in the sky, a small point at first, then growing brighter and brighter. It moved fast, too fast to be a drifting signal. The color was different too, not the usual white or blue of broken starships. This light was golden, warm, alive. Lira stepped to the edge of the cliff, fear and hope twisting inside her. She whispered, "Mother, Father." But the sky did not answer. The golden light grew bigger until it looked like a falling star tearing through the clouds. Flames wrapped around it, turning the night into a burning trail. The ground shook as the object passed overhead, and the forests below bent under the pressure of its descent. Lira covered her ears as a deep roar echoed across the cliffs. Then came the crash. A thunderous explosion rose from the dark forest valley. A wave of dust and wind rushed up the cliff, making Lira step back. Birds screamed and flew away. Animals ran in panic. The world felt shaken awake. Lira's heart was beating fast now. But it was not fear alone. It was something else, something strange. Something calling her. She felt a pull, like a soft hand reaching into her spirit and guiding her toward the crash site. She had never felt anything like it. The humming inside her chest changed too, now sounding like a voice she could almost hear, a whisper telling her to go. She did not understand it, but she knew she could not ignore it. Whatever had fallen from the sky was not just a star. It was not a broken ship drifting in silence. It felt alive, connected to her fate. Before she could think further, she began moving. She climbed down the cliff path, her steps fast and urgent. The wind pushed against her as if trying to stop her. But she kept going. Leaves and dust spun around her feet. The night animals watched her from the shadows, their eyes glowing with fear and curiosity. When she reached the forest edge, she paused. The trees stood tall and dark, forming a wall of black shapes. Deep inside, smoke rose slowly, drifting through the branches like ghost breath. The fire from the crash had already begun to die down, leaving only glowing embers and a faint orange light. Lira swallowed hard. She knew that whatever she found inside the forest could change everything. Maybe it would answer her questions. Maybe it would break her heart. Maybe it would show her something she was never meant to See, but she also knew one thing with absolute certainty. Her life had waited long enough tonight. Destiny had finally arrived, and it was waiting for her inside the dark forest. The forest was silent, except for the soft crackling of cooling metal and the slow hiss of dying flames. Lira stepped carefully. Between fallen branches, guided by the faint orange glow deep inside the trees, her heart felt heavier with every step, the strange humming in her chest still growing stronger, almost like a warning and a welcome at the same time. As she moved closer, she saw the crashed ship, half buried in dirt and broken roots. Smoke curled around its scorched metal body. The design shocked her. It was nothing like the ships from her own world. Its shape was sharp, angular, and built for speed, like something made by restless hands always searching for more. It was not Illyrian, not from any nearby system. It was something rare. Something she had only heard about in old stories from travelers. A human ship, her breath caught. Humans were known in the galaxy, but they were distant, curious explorers who seldom reached this part of the stars. She had never seen one face to face, and she had never expected one to fall from the sky onto her quiet planet. She walked closer and touched the metal hull. It was still warm, trembling under her palm, inside. She heard a faint sound, a weak groan. Someone was alive. She found the broken doorway and slipped inside. The air smelled of burning wires and strange human chemicals. The lights flickered weakly, casting shaking shadows across the floor. Debris lay everywhere, and sparks jumped from torn cables like tiny stars fighting to stay alive. Then she saw him. A young human man lay half buried under a fallen beam. His flight suit was torn, his helmet cracked, and blood stained his forehead. His breathing was slow and uneven. Lira felt fear rush through her, not because he was dangerous, but because he was dying. Humans were fragile compared to her kind. They were strong in heart, but weak in body. If she did nothing, he would fade like smoke in the wind. She knelt beside him and touched his shoulder gently. "Can you hear me?" she asked in a soft voice. Her words shook slightly. The man opened his eyes, dark and unfocused. He saw her but did not understand what he was seeing. Alien," he whispered. His voice cracked with confusion and fear. "Where am I?" "You are on Valen." Lira answered. "You crashed here. You are hurt. I want to help you." He blinked slowly, struggling to stay awake. "Help me," he repeated, like the idea surprised him. Humans were taught to be careful with aliens, never to trust too quickly. But he had no strength left to doubt her. Lira looked around the ship for anything useful, but the medical equipment was destroyed. She knew there was only one thing that could save him now. Something from her world. She took a deep breath and reached into the small pouch tied around her belt. Inside were glowing blue crystals, rare stones her people used for healing serious injuries. She pressed one crystal gently to his chest. The light seeped into his skin like warm water. His breath calmed. His heartbeat steadied. The cuts on his skin closed slowly, not fully healed, but no longer deadly. The man gasped as warmth spread through him. "What is that?" he asked weakly. "A healing crystal," she replied. "From my people." He studied her face with tired eyes, curiosity beginning to replace fear. "Who are you?" "My name is Lira," she said, "and you are safe now." He let out a shaky breath. "I'm Evan," he whispered. "Pilot from Earth." The word Earth echoed strangely in the broken ship, making the moment feel larger. Earth was far, very far. A human here was impossible. Yet he was lying right in front of her. Evan tried to sit up but winced from pain. "I was chasing something," he said. "A signal, a strong one. It led me through dangerous space. I didn't know it would pull me here." Lira felt the air grow cold inside her lungs. "A signal," she repeated. "What kind of signal?" "A repeating code," Evan said. "It started years ago, same time as a big cosmic event. I followed it because someone, somewhere, wanted help." Lira's heart froze. The year he mentioned was the same year her parents vanished, the same year her life changed forever, the same year her waiting began. Her hands trembled. "Evan," she whispered. "Show me the signal, Evan." Nodded weakly and pointed toward the ship's control panel. Damaged but still alive, Lira walked to it, touched the cracked screen, and watched it flicker to life. A coded message repeated again and again, soft but clear. Lira felt her world tilt as she recognized the voices hidden inside the signal. Her mother and father. The message said only two chilling words, spoken with fear and love at the same time. "Lira, run." The forest outside seemed to hold its breath as the truth reached her. Something terrible had happened, something still waiting in the shadows. And now a human had fallen from the sky, carrying the last warning her parents ever sent. Nothing in Lyra's life would ever be the same again. The forest outside the crashed ship seemed to fall into a deep and heavy silence, as if the world itself wanted to hear the message echoing from the broken screen. Lira stared at the glowing words again, her heart thundering in her chest. "Lira, run." The voices were soft, shaky, and full of fear. They were her parents' voices, voices she had not heard since she was a child. The sound wrapped around her like a forgotten memory, suddenly waking up. Evan watched her from where he sat, still weak but alert. "You know the voices," he said gently. He did not want to disturb her, but the shock on her face worried him. "They are my parents," Lira whispered. The words felt heavy on her lips. "They sent this message years ago." Evan rubbed his forehead, trying to think through the pain. "Then this signal is old but still active," he said. "Someone wants you to keep hearing it." Lira shook her head slowly. "No, this is not a normal message. Illyrian technology should fade after a short time. This signal is being powered by something greater." She touched the screen again, listening to the repeating code. The pattern, the rhythm, something about it felt wrong, as if it were hiding something more. Evan leaned closer. "Can you decode it?" "I can try," she said. She placed both hands on the panel and closed her eyes. Illyrian senses were different from humans. Their minds could read patterns and energy the way humans read words. The ship hummed under her touch, sending shocks of warmth through her skin. Suddenly, she felt something beneath the surface of the message. A second layer, a deeper voice buried under the simple warning. She pushed further, her breath shaking. The hidden message cracked open like a secret door. Her eyes snapped open, filled with fear. "This is not just a warning," she whispered. "This is a location." Evan blinked, surprised. "A location? Where?" "Under this planet," she said, her voice trembling. "Deep underground, in the old Illyrian tunnels." Evan frowned. "You have tunnels here?" "Yes," Lira said. "Very old ones from the first people who lived on Valen. Some say they are older than our recorded history." She stepped back from the screen and wiped her shaking hands on her clothes. "My parents must have gone down there. They wanted me to stay away, but they also wanted me to find this message. They wanted me to know the truth." Evan tried to stand, but his legs were still weak. Lira quickly moved to help him. He placed a hand on her shoulder for balance. "If your parents sent this, they were trying to protect you," he said. "But from what?" Lira looked toward the forest as if expecting something to step out of. "The shadows, I don't know," she whispered. "But the danger is not gone. I can feel it, the humming inside me. It gets stronger when something dark is near." Evan studied her carefully. "The humming. You mean that energy inside you?" Lira hesitated, unsure how much she should reveal. "I do not fully understand it myself," she said softly. "My parents never explained it. They only told me to hide it, to never let anyone know." Evan nodded slowly. "Then maybe the tunnels have answers." Lira helped him step outside the crashed ship. The forest air was cold and thick, and the sky above them was covered in moving silver clouds. The night felt heavier now, as if something unseen watched them from between the trees. "We should go," Lira said. "There is an entrance to the tunnels near the mountain path." Zivan tightened his grip on her arm. lead the way." They walked carefully through the forest, the light from the crashed ship fading behind them. Branches cracked under their feet, and distant animal cries echoed through the night. Lira's heart beat in rhythm with the humming inside her chest. Every step brought her closer to something she had feared her whole life without knowing why. After a long walk, they reached a large stone door carved into the mountain. Ancient symbols glowed faintly on its surface. Lira touched them, and the rock shifted, opening slowly with a deep rumble. A cold breath of air rushed out from the darkness. Beyond, Evan shivered. "Feels like the planet is exhaling." Lira nodded. "These tunnels are alive in their own way." They stepped inside. The air grew colder the deeper they went, and the walls shone with soft blue lines like veins of light running through the earth. Strange echoes filled the space. Voices that were not really voices, sounds that felt like whispers trapped for generations. Evan looked around nervously. "Did your parents come here often?" "No," Lira said. "They avoided these tunnels. They said something sleeps inside." "Them, something ancient." Evan swallowed. "And now we're going in." "Yes," she whispered, "because whatever scared them is connected to me." They walked deeper until the light faded behind them and the darkness felt almost solid. Suddenly, from somewhere far inside the tunnels, a metallic echo drifted toward them, slow and heavy, like footsteps made of iron. Evan froze. "What was that?" Lyra's eyes widened, her voice barely a breath. "We are not alone." Asterisk. The cold tunnel stretched far under the planet, glowing faintly with blue lines that pulsed like slow heartbeats. Lira and Evan moved carefully, their footsteps soft on the stone floor. The strange metallic echo from deeper inside the tunnels kept repeating, slow, steady, and impossible to ignore. Every sound seemed to grow louder in the silence, making the walls feel tight around them. Evan leaned closer to Lira, keeping his voice low. "It sounds like something big," Lira nodded, her eyes fixed on the darkness ahead. "Something old," she whispered. "Something that has been here long before us." The humming in her chest grew stronger, almost painful now. It vibrated in her bones, in her breath, in her thoughts. It was guiding her, but also warning her. The deeper she went, the more she felt something calling to her, not with words, but with energy. Cold and ancient. The tunnel opened into a wide chamber. The ceiling was high, covered with silver markings that glowed like stars trapped in stone. At the center stood a massive machine, shaped like a towering guardian statue. Dust covered most of its body, but its eyes glowed bright red. Watching them without blinking, Evan froze. "Is that alive?" Lira stepped forward cautiously. "It is a guardian," she said softly. "An ancient protector built by the first Illyrians. I thought all of them were destroyed long ago." Before Evan could speak, the guardian's head turned with a deep grinding sound. The red eyes focused on Lira. A voice echoed through the chamber, metallic yet deep. "Identity confirmed. Lira of the Illyrian line." Evan took a step back in shock. "It knows your name." The guardian's chest opened, revealing glowing gears and shifting panels. "Activation protocol," it said. "The child has returned." Lira felt her skin grow cold. "Child," she whispered. "It knows who I am." "Why?" The guardian lifted one massive arm, pointing toward her. "The core is awakening." Evan frowned, confused. "Core? What core?" Lira pressed a trembling hand to her chest where the humming lived. The truth was forming inside her mind, heavy and terrifying. "Inside me," she whispered. "The humming. The energy. It is something my parents placed there. When I was young." The guardian stepped forward, its metal feet shaking the ground. "The power you carry is the reality core," it said. "A force capable of rewriting existence." Evan stared at Lira in disbelief. "Rewrite existence," he repeated. "You mean she can change reality?" The guardian responded without emotion. "Yes." Lira shook her head, backing away slightly. "No, that is impossible. I cannot control anything like that. Not yet." The guardian replied. "But you were chosen to protect IT." Evan tried to make sense of the revelation. Why would her parents hide something so powerful inside her? The Guardian's red eyes dimmed briefly, as if recalling old memories. The Collectors, it said. A force that devours energy from civilizations. They discovered the core. They desired its power to control and consume galaxies. Lira felt her heart twist. My parents. They were running from them, correct, the Guardian said. They hid the core within you, for only one with pure intent could hold such power. They knew the Collectors would search for them, but they did not expect the child to survive. Lira's breath shook. They did not leave me, she whispered with trembling lips. They were protecting me. Evan placed a comforting hand on her arm. Lira. I'm sorry, but the Guardian was not done. Its voice deepened. The Collectors have followed the signal here. Evan stiffened. Signal? You mean the message? Yes, the Guardian said. The message was a distress call and a warning. IT was also a distraction, but the enemy decoded it long before the human. Lira's eyes widened in fear. So, they know where I am. The Guardian's red lights flared, casting long shadows across the chamber. They are already approaching the planet. Evan stepped protectively in front of Lira despite his injured state. We need to leave, we need to find a way to stop them. But the Guardian slammed its giant staff into the floor, creating shockwaves. No, it said. You cannot run any longer. The child must learn to control her power. Lira shook her head desperately. I don't know how. The Guardian leaned forward, its metal face inches from hers. You will learn, it said, because the fate of all worlds now rests on you. The chamber trembled suddenly, dust falling from the ceiling. A deep rumble echoed through the tunnels, coming from far above the planet's surface. Evan looked toward the entrance, his voice tight. That sound. Is that the Collectors? Lira pressed her hand over her heart, the humming turning into a sharp pulse of pain. No, she whispered. They are not just near. Her eyes flashed with fear and realization. They have already entered our skies. The ground shook again, stronger this time, sending cracks racing along the stone floor of the chamber. Dust rained from the ceiling in thin waves, and the glowing blue lines on the walls flickered like frightened veins of light. Lira felt the vibration travel through her feet and into her bones, echoing the sharp humming inside her chest. The Collectors were not just close. They were here. Evan clenched his jaw, his eyes darting toward the tunnel entrance. Lira, we need to move. If they find us in here, we're trapped. The Guardian stood tall, its red eyes glowing brighter. You cannot escape them by running, it said. They have come for the core. The child must face them. Lira shook her head, fear tightening around her like metal chains. But I do not know how to use this power, the humming inside. Her chest felt hot now, almost burning, like a storm trapped behind her ribs. I cannot control it, she whispered. I might hurt everyone. Evan stepped in front of her, ignoring the pain in his still healing body. Then I'll protect you, he said firmly. I don't care who they are or what they want. I won't let them take you. The Guardian tilted its head, studying Evan's weak but determined stance. The human is foolish, it declared, but loyal. Evan shot the machine an annoyed look. Thanks for the compliment, he muttered. Before anyone could react, a deafening boom echoed from above, a sound like thunder and metal tearing together. The stone entrance exploded inward, pieces of rock flying across the chamber like thrown knives. Evan grabbed Lira and shielded her as debris rained down around them. When the dust cleared, shapes began to crawl out of the broken tunnel, tall and thin, with bodies made of black metal and faces like polished mirrors reflecting cold light. Their limbs moved too smoothly, too silently, as if they were made of shadows wrapped around steel. The Collectors, their eyes glowed pale white, like dying stars. One step forward, its voice sharp and echoing. Target located, it announced. The core bearer has been found. Lira's breath caught, and the humming inside her chest pulsed so hard she stumbled back. Evan reached for her hand, gripping tightly. Lira, don't panic, he said. I'm right here. The collectors advanced. Their steps made no sound, but their presence filled the chamber like freezing wind. The guardian moved between them and Lira, its heavy metal body acting as a shield. "Access denied," the guardian boomed. "The child is under my protection," one collector lifted a thin arm, and black energy crackled at its fingertips. "Protection is irrelevant," it said. "The core must be recovered. The girl is expendable." The guardian roared, swinging its massive arm in a wide arc, smashing the nearest collector into the wall. But more stepped forward, dozens of them, their white eyes glowing brighter as they activated weapons built into their arms. Lira felt tears sting her eyes. "This is because of me," she whispered. "They will kill you both to reach the core." Evan squeezed her hand harder. "Listen to me," he said. "Whatever they want, you are not giving it to them. You're not alone anymore." But the chamber was shaking again, louder, faster, as more collector ships entered the atmosphere above. The tunnel. Lira could almost feel their massive shadows moving across the surface of her planet, hunting her like a predator hunts the last light of day. Suddenly, a lance of black energy shot across the chamber, slamming into the guardian's chest. The machine staggered backward, sparks bursting from its armor. Another shot followed, then another. The guardian fought back, but the collectors were many too many. Evan pulled Lira behind a fallen pillar. "We need a plan," he said urgently. "Is there any way to use your power, even a little, just to push them back?" Lira pressed a hand to her chest, her heart shaking under the burning hum. "I do not know how to control it," she said. "What if I lose myself again? What if I destroy everything?" Evan cupped her face gently, forcing her to meet his eyes. "Lira, listen to me," he said. "Your parents trusted you with this power. They believed in you, and I believe in you too." His voice steadied her. Even as the world around them fell into chaos, the guardian crashed to one knee, metal armor cracking. Collector drones swarming over it like dark insects, and more were climbing into the chamber from every direction. Lyra's fear grew too large to hold, cracking open inside her like a breaking star. A sudden burst of energy exploded from her body, bright blue and violent. Evan was thrown back. The collectors staggered, and even the guardian froze for a moment. Lira stood in the center of the chamber, her eyes glowing with pure light, her hair lifting in an invisible wind. The humming inside her was no longer a whisper, no longer a warning. It was a storm unleashed. The collectors turned toward her as one, their pale eyes widening. "The core is activating," one said in a trembling metallic voice. Lira took a step forward, her power tearing through the air like a living wave. This time, she was not running anymore, and every world in the galaxy would feel the moment she awakened. The chamber filled with blinding blue light, swirling like a storm made of stars. Lira stood in the center of it, her small frame surrounded by waves of living energy. The collectors staggered back, their metal bodies shaking as if they were made of sand caught in a hurricane. Evan shielded his face, blinking through the brightness, unable to look away from Lyra's glowing figure. The guardian, damaged but still functioning, lifted its head and stared at her with something like awe in its red eyes. "The core has reached awakening stage," it announced. "The child is entering the reality plane." Ven didn't understand the words, but he understood the feeling. Lira was slipping away, not dying, but becoming something more, something larger than the world around them. Her feet lifted off the ground, and her hair floated around her like silver fire. Her eyes were no longer normal eyes, they were endless. Blue windows showing galaxies inside. Then everything went silent. The chamber, the collectors, the guardian, even Evan, all faded like shadows under bright sun. Lira felt her body dissolve into weightless light. She drifted into a place where there was no time, no sound, no fear. She felt surrounded by soft warmth, like a blanket woven from stardust. A voice echoed gently in the endless space. "Lira," she turned, or at least she thought she turned, because here turning had no meaning. And then she saw them, two glowing figures walking out of light, their Faces soft, familiar, filled with love she had not felt in years, her parents, mother. She whispered, "Father." Her voice sounded young again. The voice of the child who had waited so long on the cliff. The child who had held on to hope when everyone else told her to let go. Her mother smiled, her form shimmering like a dream made of moonlight. "You have grown strong, my Lira," she said. "Stronger than we ever imagined." Her father stepped closer, his energy warm. "We are sorry we could not return to you," he said. "We never left you by choice." Lira felt tears form even in her glowing eyes. "I waited," she whispered. "I waited for so long, I thought I was alone." Her mother touched her cheek, though it felt like touching light. "You were never alone," she said gently. "We placed the core inside you to protect you, and to give the galaxy a chance to survive." Lira shook with grief and confusion. "Why me?" she asked. "Why would you give your child such a burden?" "Because you were the only one who could carry it without falling to darkness," her father answered. "The collectors seek power, but you seek connection, you seek life, you seek hope." The space around them trembled softly, like reality turning a page. Lira felt another presence. Watching, waiting, the universe itself holding its breath. "What is happening to me?" she asked. Her mother stepped back slightly, giving Lira space. "You are between worlds now," she said. "The reality plane, the place where the core's true power lives." Her father continued. "Here you can rewrite what is broken, heal what is hurt, and change what should not exist." Lira's glowing hands shook. "Rewrite reality," she murmured. "I do not know how to do such a thing." Her mother smiled sadly. "You already began." Lira's breath caught. She remembered Evan, the Guardian, the collectors, her planet shaking under enemy ships. The fear returned, heavy and sharp. "I do not want to destroy anything," she said. "I only want to protect the ones I love." "That is why the power chose you," her father said. The glowing space darkened suddenly, as if the collectors' shadow reached even this sacred plane. Her parents' forms flickered, struggling to stay whole. "We do not have much time," her mother whispered. "The collectors are tearing the planet open. They seek to remove the core, even if it kills you." Lira's light flared with anger and fear. "No," she said. "I will not let them." Her father nodded. "Then you must return. Take control of the core. Do not fear it. It is part of you." Her mother's voice softened into a trembling whisper. "We love you, Lira. We always have. And we are proud of the person you have become." Lira reached out desperately. "Please do not go." Her father's form flickered to light. "We never truly leave," he said. "We live in your choices now." Then the light around them shattered like glass hit by a falling star. Lira felt herself pulled backward through space, faster than thought, faster than light. Her parents' voices echoed once more. "Rewrite your destiny, my child." And then she fell back into her body, into the chamber, into the chaos. The blue storm around her roared alive again, stronger than before. Reality trembled at her fingertips. She opened her glowing eyes, and the collectors stepped back in fear. The moment Lira opened her glowing eyes, the entire chamber felt different. The air vibrated with her energy. The walls shimmered like they were waking from a long sleep. The collectors, once fearless hunters, now stepped back, their pale eyes flickering with something they had never shown before. Fear. Evan stared at her with wide eyes. Unable to speak, he had seen her awaken before. But now she looked like something more than Illyrian, more than human, more than anything he had ever imagined. Her body glowed softly, not like a weapon, but like a star choosing to shine. The Guardian struggled to rise but froze when Lira lifted her hand gently. The energy around her wrapped around the machine like a warm breeze. "Rest," she whispered, and the Guardian obeyed, lowering its heavy frame to the ground. Sparks calming across its broken armor. The collectors reacted instantly, their voices sharp. "The core has reached critical potential. The girl must be terminated." Evan stumbled forward. "Over my dead." He never finished because Lira raised her hand again, and the world shifted with her movement. The nearest collectors were pushed backward by an invisible wave, sliding across the stone floor like they weighed nothing. Some hit the walls, cracking them. Others fell into piles of metal limbs. Lira didn't attack them with anger. Her expression was calm, almost sad. She spoke softly. "I am done running." The collectors adjusted their bodies, preparing to charge again. But the ground beneath them split open, blue cracks of pure core power racing across the chamber. The entire tunnel system shook as if the planet itself listened to Lira's heartbeat. A collector raised its weapon, but the energy collapsed around it like a trap of light, bending the metal and pulling the weapon apart until it dissolved into dust. The metallic creature froze, unable to understand what was happening. "Reality is shifting," it said in a glitching voice. Lira stepped forward, each step sending ripples of glowing blue across the ground. "You take life from worlds," she said gently. "You destroy to grow stronger." Her voice did not rise in anger. It rose in sorrow. "But you cannot take anything from me anymore." She closed her eyes, and the chamber plunged into a soft blue darkness. Evan felt his breath catch as the world around him became weightless. He reached out instinctively, but his hand passed through glowing air like touching water made of light. The collectors screamed in metallic tones, but the sound faded as their bodies lost shape, lines of code breaking apart, wires unraveling into threads of color, limbs dissolving into sparks. They weren't being crushed or broken, they were being rewritten. Lira opened her eyes again, and a new wave of power pulsed outward. Gentle but unstoppable, the collectors' bodies vanished completely, leaving behind only silence. The threat that had hunted her since childhood was gone. Evan lowered his arm, trembling. "Lira, you did it," he whispered. "You saved all of us." Lira looked down at her glowing hands, then at the empty chamber. "I didn't destroy them," she said softly. "I rewrote them into nothing, a blank space. A space that harms no one." The guardian flickered with weak light, its voice soft for the first time. "The enemy has been erased from existence," it said. "The planet is safe." Lira walked to Evan, her glow slowly dimming to a soft, warm light. He reached out, gently touching her arm. "Are you still you?" he asked quietly. She smiled, her expression full of emotion. "More me than ever," she said. "But I am no longer waiting for the past to return." The chamber trembled again, but this time the movement felt peaceful, like the planet stretching after waking from a nightmare. The cracks in the stone closed on their own, the air warmed, and the blue lights along the walls grew brighter, as if Valen itself was healing. Lira looked upward, through layers of stone and sky, imagining her parents' faces. Her heart no longer hurt the same way. Their last message had told her to run, but she was not running anymore. She whispered into the air, "I am safe, Mother, Father. I am not waiting anymore." Vevan stepped beside her. "What will you do now?" he asked. Lira turned to him with a gentle smile. "Build a new life," she said. "A life I choose. Not one shaped by fear." He nodded softly. "I'd like to stay here," he said. "If you want me to." Her glowing eyes warmed. "Yes, Evan, I want that." They walked together toward the tunnel entrance, the guardian watching them with dim but peaceful eyes. Behind them, the chamber closed like a chapter ending. Ahead of them, the sky waited, clean and blue, free of collector ships, free of fear, free for Lira to finally live. And with each step she took, she rewrote the future she deserved, not with power, but with hope, connection, and the strength to choose her own path.